So I want to talk about my spring and summer project. I had 2 grandsons this year, or last year, I guess. So I made 2 of them, one for each grandson. This is a Winnie the Pooh felt book. So little bees and honey pots on the back. There's a patch made. I hid the kids' names. So 2 grandsons. So Winnie the Pooh, interactive felt book. And by the way, well, I shouldn't say by the way, but Claire is the one that came up with this marvelous design. And you can find information about her patterns, which I ordered her pattern off of Etsy. And you can find that at sonderandwanderlust. I will put a link below. Also, Patch Perfect Creation off Etsy made the patches for me. And the felt I ordered from Benzie Designs, but I also bought some from Kindred Felt Company, which is on Etsy, along with the patterns from Claire for numerous ones. And her Alice in Wonderland pattern for this type of book is a masterpiece, as is anything she does. But I'll put her link below along with her TicTok channel. But anyway, without further ado, and both of these books are pretty much the same. So first thing you'll see is a little kind of bookmarker that has Winnie the Pooh. A friend gave me these. These were earrings she had, so I just made like a little bookmarker. But anyway, inside is the pocket with all the characters. So let's get all these guys out. Here's the Winnie the Pooh. So first of all, you have Christopher Robin and his little arms move. Now the pattern didn't call for hair, but I thought he kind of looked like he was wearing a helmet, so I just took some yarn and stitched in and made him kind of like hair. But I also made these avatars, had these avatars made from the Patch Company, and there are numerous programs that you can go and do avatars. So for each of the kids, the babies aren't even a year old yet, but I looked at the parents and what I thought the children were going to look like when they would be about Christopher Robin's age. And then I did front and back, and then just iron these 2 together so that the grandsons can go through the interactive book. You got Rabbit, Owl, and I put buttons on the back, make his wings move, and of course Winnie the Pooh. And I put 2 snaps in here, and I'll show you why I did that. Then you got Eeyore, and his little tail comes off, goes to either side, and then there's places inside the book where he can lose his tail according to the story. And Kanga. Now when I made Kanga, I increased the size of her from the pattern because Roo wouldn't fit in her pouch very well, so I downsized Roo and upsized Kanga. I also put some vinyl in between here because I thought she was kind of floppy. I did the same thing for Christopher Robin. There's vinyl pieces inside his body, gives her a little bit more stiffness. And then you can see that Roo fits nicely in her pouch, as does Piglet. If you know the story of Winnie the Pooh, you know Piglet thinks he's playing a joke on Kanga and ends up taking a bath. But Piglet. And then, of course, Tigger. So I put a piece of wire in here that's insulated wire just so I can flex his tail a little more. So that was tricky to make that small of a tail with some wire in it. The original design didn't call for that, but I just wanted to be able to, move his tail a little bit. And then I also did these. This is Mima and Papa, that's myself and my husband, and then had these little patches made so we could play hide and seek inside the interactive book. There's one more too. Yeah, I must have There's one more pattern anyway. Don't know where that went, but anyway, without further ado, so here's page 1. Now the original pattern called for, I think, 13 pages. I added some pages myself because I like some of the stories in Winnie the Pooh, but I have this marker on here, so I'm hiding the kids' names. But anyway, another patch I had done, but then I replaced Christopher Robin with the grandsons. And you can see I did the same over here in the other book for the other grandson. Okay, so, and this is just an extra page I had, or an extra avatar, one-sided, that I put in the inside of this page. But anyway, as you go through, this is interactive, and the characters can hide. They can go behind the trees. This tree opens up. So this is all according to Genius Claire's pattern design. Again, and you go over to Winnie the Pooh's house. Now, this isn't really a book for a 1-year-old to play with without the parents there, because you don't want them ripping off these buttons. But anyway, you can have Pooh set behind his chair, and Piglet can go have a seat and have these beds, and Winnie can go to bed, take a nap. And if you know the story, Winnie has a nightmare about the horrible heffalump. He thinks it's going to eat his honey. And so this is an ad I did. So back here, I made a little pocket, if I can find the heffalump. And then I did like a little dream cloud, like he's dreaming about the heffalump. And that just slips back there. And just little buttons. These were all my grandmother's buttons. I'm in my 60s, so these are very old buttons. Then I just printed off on kind of photo paper, little pictures added to some of the buttons. And inside the fireplace, you'll see I made the brick and patterns. This was in Claire's design. The patterns on the carpet, the rug. Again, they can go behind as they're going through. Now this was a tricky page. I didn't make the bees according to the pattern book. I just bought these on Amazon. I didn't want to make, I think, 60 bees for both books, so I just ordered these little iron-on, but I also glued it down with fabric glue, and then I embroidered just kind of like little things in the tree. And as this opens up, you have the balloon. Now Winnie, or did I leave him in his bed? Go back and get him. Winnie the Pooh can actually attach to this. That's why the snap's here, so he can grab the balloon. And then in the story, he rides up to the balloon because he wants to get to the honey in the bee pot, in the honey hive. Beehive. So a hidden bee back there, some hidden bees back here. Again, they can go through. The characters can hide behind here, and then there's a bee inside this, but I thought this was hilarious. So I had a patch made that is Mima and Papa riding a bee. Just something fun for the little grandsons to kind of see and play with. It makes it very personalized. Then we're going over to Rabbit's house, and a little patchwork quilt I made, and Rabbit can also go to bed. This is her apron, and then on this one I made a little carrot, like I love carrots. And this one over here, it says crunch time, and I crocheted that on there, but that took me a long time to do, so I got lazy and I didn't make another one just like that, like the crunch time. I just did this when it was more simple. And then the little carrots come out over here. They're tied off in ribbon, so you can pull the carrots out of the ground over here. And then this if you know the story, Pooh gets stuck and has to get Christopher Robin to help him because he gets stuck in the burrow. But the rabbit can go behind there. She can have Piglet over for tea. Little teapot up here. So yeah, this was a very fun project to do, very time consuming, because all this is crocheted, a little lamp, and then I added buttons in this house too. So flipping the pages, now these are the ones that I added. This is the story about when Piglet and Pooh go hunting a woozle. And Piglet's house is right here, although you can't open the door and go in, because really the story just says Piglet had a nice house and a big beech tree, I think it is. But anyway, they hunt the woozle, and there's the trespassers sign that Piglet thinks is his relative. But they can start walking around, and then if you flip this down, you can see their footprints, and they think they're chasing a woozle. And they can go behind this, come out on the other side, but they're actually following their own footprints. So I just made this pattern up. I think I took some of the snow patterns from another page that Claire had and just kind of modified them to fit this storyline. This is also a page I added, and this is more about the heffalump. So they come to a divot in the ground. They want to catch the heffalump. So Piglet has a spade because he's tiny. Winnie has a little shovel. They start digging a hole to catch the heffalump, and then they put the honey pot down inside the hole, hoping to get the heffalump. And this cloud comes back, and there's a Pooh's image of what the heffalump is. So I just did like an outline shadow of a bull elephant. And if you know the story, Pooh, this little honey pot, you can actually open up, and Pooh gets it stuck on his head, which scares Piglet. And he thinks it's a heffalump down in the hole. So what I used here was Claire's design for Rabbit's burrow, and just kind of incorporated it and looked at the pictures in the original A.A. Milne book. You saw the tree roots that go down in the hole that they dig. So anyway, there's the heffalump page. Turning that, this is another page I added, as are these two right here, but this is Kanga's house, and I just made it inside, did some stitching on the floor, and I do want to talk about the felt. So Benzie Designs has really nice felt, wool felt, and I found out that Kindred Felt on Etsy has very nice felt pieces. Walmart, I had to buy a couple pieces because I was a couple sheets of felt. I do not like Walmart's quality. It's real stretchy. It's not made from wool. But Hobby Lobbies aren't too bad. Just pointing that out. Again, the fireplace that's stretched. And if you know the story, Kanga brings Piglet back to the house because she pretends like she's not in on the joke, and she makes him take a bath. And so he can get inside the bathtub. I just put a couple little rubber duckies like that, and then she scrubs him. And so there's a little soap back here and a little washcloth that go behind the towel, and she makes him drink what tastes like, he said, fishy oil. So in her pantry I put the fishy oil, and then I did this plastic vinyl to cover that and just labeled these. And my husband and I also make our own wine, so I just kind of did some fun things and added like 2 bottles of wine because Kanga's a mom. We all know moms like their wine. And these are actual names of wine I made, a white wine and a red wine. And then again with the little personalized pictures I put on the wall, her little buffet with her plates and cups. So moving forward, this is when they go looking for the North Pole. over here. So I tied a little fish off. They can hide that here. This one has a cardinal. The other one has a robin. And so if you know the story, they see a little island across the creek. And they all walk across and they declare that they found the North Pole. And I crocheted this little sign that you can put together and they can stake their claim that says North Pole discovered by Pooh. Again, this is embroidered. Added a couple little daisies on the hill. I ended up changing this one. It was kind of bare, so I added the tree and added some daisies, and I think it helped dress it up some. And then this slips behind. I just put some Velcro so they don't lose this. And then the pole. And yeah, sand, water, little rocks in the water, and the fish can go. Again, like I said, this isn't for a 1-year-old to play with because they try to eat that. All right, back to Claire's design. This is the story where the flood comes and Pooh gets in the umbrella and he can actually travel the umbrella, gets out, go to Al's house. These move up and down. Now, I did double these up when I made them apart from the design. I just wanted a little bit more thickness so they were easier to grab. Then they go into Al's house. Al can go behind, inside his little house. And Eeyore's tail can Velcro here because in the story, Al finds it and he thinks it makes a good doorbell ringer. Anyway, opening up Al's house, and then same thing. Al can get in his bed, made this little quilt. These were buttons that came off old sweaters I had when I was like in first grade. And I thought they looked like cute little throw pillows, so I just stitched them on there. But Al can go to bed, or he can sit in his chair, read his book. And then this is his book he's reading. And it looks like this book. So again, I just did like little photo paper stickers, stuck them on the felt. So then I named the books, and again I put these behind vinyl and sewed those in. And I had fun naming these books, like Oliver Twist and the Lord of the Rings series, but Lord of the Wing, the Two Tree Towers, the Return of the Wing, and the Lord of the Wing series. But all right, moving on to the next page. If you see these stitches down here, this book was so fat I could not do it in a sewing machine, so I had to go over to my very nice neighbor who makes saddles, and he has a saddle sewing machine which allows a heavy thickness, so it worked real slick. So shout out to him and thank you. All right, now we come into Eeyore's, where they build Eeyore's house. So here's all his little poles that you can build the house out of, and this is the snow. And I put these little designs on there, little snow designs, and lots of them, and I glued them. I also doubled these up just to make them thicker. They can go behind the trees, the characters can. Then if you open this down, this is where you build Eeyore's house. I have a couple extra, so you just start building the house and stacks that way. I'm not going to put it together, and then Eeyore can go inside. Okay. And then the last page is the tea party, and every one of these characters have a seat so they can all sit and enjoy a tea party. They can go behind the trees again. It's interactive. I added a little bird onto the back of this chair just for fun. A little meadow lark. That's Montana state bird. And then a little teapot and the cake with the piece that comes out. And that is Claire's wonderful design. Very smart. Yeah, so, and then the very last page where you flip it is me, Mom, and Papa riding the big bee. And The characters all kind of fit in this. Fun project, and we're going to deliver these today.